Craig, obviously, let's start with Club World Cup and what it means to the organization, to you as a GM, that the team is going to be playing in just, I guess, a couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, we're starting to make eye contact with it, right? It's right around the corner. We've got a little bit of business to do domestically, but we can't ignore it anymore. There's no longer a, hey guys, don't pay attention to it. So it's starting to get exciting. You can feel a little bit of a buzz with the guys, and some pretty good competition coming in.
When it comes to the additional transfer window, we've talked to you about it before, but now that it gets closer, do you feel any added pressure to need to bring a player in during that transfer window, or how are you managing that?
I mean, that window, I view it the same. We're not going to do anything for a 3-week tournament. We're going to do something that makes the team better over time, and we've talked a lot about the U22, the roster spot that we have open. We've targeted quite a few top players. Europe and South America, and right now we put the press on those players to make decisions. And part of this is we're starting to own up to what we are, which is we're becoming a better league, probably a top 10 league in the world. So we're competing for players now that they're not just talking to us, they're talking to us and teams in the 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th best leagues in the world. So we're in competition with a lot of big name teams now, and it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to be a part of. We just got to figure out how to win one or two of those conversations.
How would you assess your confidence in being able to get a signing like that across the line, if not necessarily in this 10-day window during the summer?
One of the challenges we run into is all the youth competitions that are going on in the summer, specifically for this age group we're interested in, right? And so some of our rules in MLS are great. Some of them are they prohibit, the salaries is the big conversation with U22s. We're now at a point as a league that we're attracting very, very good, talented young players, and they're still evolving. And so one of the challenges we've run into is this max salary we can offer is equal to, or sometimes even a little less than what they can get domestically where they are. And so you're now in a conversation of, is a young man willing to go halfway around the world for equal money or a little less? Sometimes more, right? And so that's one of the new balances and challenges. That's an invited challenge, 5 years ago, we weren't even in those conversations. So we're plugging away, and like I said, we're optimistic, but at the same time, a lot of good young players have choices to make.
So that doesn't sound like you're extremely confident. You're somewhere.
In the 10-day window? No, I mean, also, going back, this isn't a decision that we're trying to impact 3 games in a week. We're trying to impact the Sounders, and we're trying to impact who we are and what we are over time. So in terms of the 10-day window, we've been aiming at it, just like 31 other teams, 30 until Sunday. But yeah, I mean, it's, where we're at right now with our roster and the roster spot we have, it's a big challenge.
Great young players obviously would be salary cap positive. But
yeah.
On the field, what's the pressure there in terms of the balance, getting ready?
There's no pressure. Honestly, there's no pressure. We're playing two of the top 5 clubs in the world right now, I think. Two of them are ranked in the top 5, top 10. And so I don't think there's any pressure on the Sounders, on our guys to do anything other than represent themselves and compete. And I think the biggest thing for us is to remain who we've always been. There's a reason we're in the Club World Cup. It's because we're willing to throw punches in a big moment, and that's something we've got to do. Our guys have got to be ready for the battle, and this is a big moment for all these guys. When we get to take the field under that microscope, in a moment where there's a lot of narrative saying MLS teams must be successful to justify MLS, this is on these guys to represent themselves in a good way.
What's that discussion with your coach, not the internal one, just in terms of how we represent our club in these 3 games?
Look, we'll feature a lot of players in those 3 games. We'll make sure that a lot of guys get the experience. Some of it will be measured, some of it will be hanging onto a rope behind a boat, just trying to stay on the skis, so to say. But in the end, we're not here to limit the coaching staff or limit the players. These are big games, big moments, and I think any player is going to want to be in there and should want to be in those games. And so coaches are going to coach these games the same way they're going to coach every other game, which is figure out a way to get a result.
So, Craig, it looks like you guys and even MLS are looking at just these 3 games, but it seems like the first game against Botafogo, the Sounders have a really good chance, and then if you get another result, you're to the next stage. But MLS has a game scheduled for when you should go to the next stage. So how is that balance between the ambition of the club and the realities of the tournament?
Well, the reality of our schedule was that we were going to have 42 or 44 games on it, no matter how we did it back in February. So the reality is we have multiple plans to reschedule any MLS game that's currently on the schedule, but we needed to make sure that if we don't advance, we're still being responsible to our players, both physically and mentally, on how we balance that. So there's multiple layers of plans, trust me, those have been in there for 5-6 months. One of the big topics we did talk about was if you schedule those games, does it send the wrong message? And, behind the closed doors, of course, we've got every plan in the books we've got other dates to play MLS games if we advance, I can tell you that.
This year especially, how would you term the status of his, of the interest in him from outside?
At this point, what I'd say is I don't know if there's a club in the world that doesn't know who he is. I mean, he's triggered anyone who's got analytics. He's triggered and kind of set off the red alarms. In terms of acquiring Obed, we haven't received any official offers yet, but too many teams know about him. One of the biggest debates I think a lot of teams are having is he ready to come in and contribute to their team, and do they need him? Because the significance of the investment to bring a player like Obed in, you need to do it with the timing that he's going to be on the field. And I think that's a big piece.
Are there plans to beyond you can't be like in a 5-star hotel or anything like that with the team, but are there any plans to kind of mark this moment with those 3 games with the team as far as grouping them together or anything like that to make it special in a sense? Or is it just playing it out?
Yeah, without getting too specific and giving anything away, I don't know if I agree with your assumption that we can't be in a hotel and together. I'll put it that way.
Okay, so there might be a
I think we can make these moments special and really organized for the guys, and a different experience than a normal game day at home.
Yeah, and that's more so. I mean, because Morocco was 5-star and all that, but still you can. There might be plans to.
We've made plans to make
together.
this memorable and make sure that these guys are treated in a way that we're at home, but we are in such a unique environment and tournament for this that we want to make sure that they understand that too, and they're rewarded for it.
Going back to interest of players, Pedro Obed is another player that has gotten a lot of attention.
Yes.
How would you talk about his status in that regard?
Well, he's starting to perform as I think a lot of us expected him to, right? Physically he's developed, he's put the work in over the last year. He's mentally in a much better place. Physically he's contributing at a much higher rate. And one of these 3 teams that we're playing has had a lot of interest in him in the past, and so it's another good opportunity for Pedro just to show a little bit of why he came here and what he's capable of.
Well, what would it take for? Is it a number? Is it his interest? Like, what would it be that would tilt the scale for you guys to ship him?
That's a great question. I mean, the structure of MLS, there's not a lot of reward for selling players, and there is financial reward to the club, which we take into consideration. We are a business. In terms of staying competitive, winning games, and honoring both our commitment to our players as well as their commitment to their careers and their dreams, that's a balance. When opportunities come up, there's nothing hidden. When official offers come in, any player I have will know. I've always communicated official offers to players because I think it's important that transparency exists, and sometimes we as a club will make the decision that it's not the right time or not the right business opportunity, and sometimes the players do. I've had it happen both ways. So anything that comes up, I'm not hiding from them. I'm not hiding from you guys. If we receive an official offer, It won't just be me that knows.
So it sounds if the team is kind of plays competitively, that's a good showing to you. Or what is the definition of
Absolutely.
a good showing?
I mean, we're going to match up with a team that I guess not by the time this airs, but by tomorrow night might be Champions League champions, as well as the teams from Brazil and Spain that are just remarkable histories and wonderful champions in their own right. So for us, this is the first time we get to compete in a world-class event against these world-class teams in games that aren't exhibition. So I think we'll have to measure a little bit in hindsight, but at the same time, we also need to be realistic about how we're approaching it, how we're trying to execute, and what measures success against top 10 club teams in the world, and potentially the best club team in the world if they win tomorrow.
Great,
You're saying that because of the top 10, like you're not dismissing all that's fine.
I'm not dismissing anyone. No, this is
you said first time.
No, I mean, this is first time we'll play Botafogo, Atletico, and PSG in this type of competition, and so it's hard to even know what you're up against when you've never seen it.
Greg, big
One or two more, guys.
Big old softball question for you. What is this moment like for that kid that was playing at the University of Washington, soccer player, Hall of Famer? What does this moment mean for you?
Oh man, it's a little hard for me to digest. I think in the moments I'll be able to, when the whistles blow. Leading this franchise right now in the seat that I'm in, and providing this opportunity to the staff and the players. It's just a remarkable moment for the Sounders, for the region growing up in the Northwest. I mean, this is unprecedented. We had to fight. We had to fight to make sure we got to host these games. And so going back even to qualifying, to getting into, hey, we shouldn't travel. We want to reward our fans with these games. All of those moments will probably hit me a little bit when we're playing them. But overall, it's just a reward to the area. It's a reward to the fans. It's a reward to Seattle and the Pacific Northwest that's supported soccer for 50 plus years. Down south to geographically one of our rivals, and up north to one of our rivals. It's pretty rabid. It's a rabid fan base, and so the reward to the region is it's hard to put into words. I don't know if we'll be able to articulate it until we've lived it.
Restrictions. What was one player that you'd get from Botafogo, PSG, and Atletico? I mean, I'm just saying Griezmann seems to be a Mariners fan.
I would start with the attacking half of the field. I can tell you that. If I get to hand pick, I'm starting up front.